I'm delighted that we have, and I'm going to try this, and please, my apologies to anyone who's Dutch here. Jeroen? I'm Jeroen Steenvoorden from Studio Prototype. He's been very, very kind to join us here all the way from Amsterdam today. And the title of this talk is Form Follows Material. Jeroen is the founder of Studio Prototype, an Amsterdam-based outfit that has spent over 15 years designing projects where, as I say, form follows material. He leads a multidisciplinary team that develops future-proof architecture and interiors, and allowing the inherent qualities of each material to guide form, construction, and detailing. The studio operates within a broad network, drawing expertise beyond the traditional construction industry to deliver complex, integrated processes and high-quality design and build outcomes. How does that sound? Does that sound good?
That sounds
about right.
Sounds nice.
Okay, good. Let's start with this expression, this idea of form follows material, obviously to spin on the modernist mantra of form follows function. How did you come to this, and why?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for being here, inviting me. Very welcome to be in Cologne again. I have a presentation. I will just, I think, run a bit forward and backward for it through your questions. Because this form follows material, where does it come from? It was a bit, when I started my company, it was different. We had like the Super Dutch generation in the Netherlands, which was basically material follows form. So she's behind it. It's very strong buildings. It's a time where the money was like pouring, and the Dutch made a lot of like very strong, visible buildings. Thing is, when we visited, it was poor. It was not super Dutch. It was a bit like poor Dutch. It was like done for the picture, for the great complex project. But if you actually visited, you saw there was no time for the detail. And the detail occurred by themselves. You see, it became like old and dirty. So it was maybe a kind of response to it. So okay, we should like think about how we build instead of just designing and building for like the architectural image.
What about the practice? I mean, how does it actually, if you take materials as the starting point, how does this change the process?
If you took materials as a starting point, of course it starts also with us. We have to invest in really understanding the client, the context. But in the end, you build with a material. Everything which you sit on, the house, the building, it is in the end material. So it's a kind of back and forth process. When you start like designing, you will select the material, but the material will in the end also define the architecture. That's how we work. So we start to come with the material and then really deep dive into it beyond the product. Often the product is not what we want, so we go beyond the product, and then we might design the product even ourselves. And it really depends. It's a scope between where you can. Every material has its own unique place in the architecture. You can have like very strong, low sustainable materials for the outside. Here on the left we see like in Justice Pieter Baan Center part, really strong. Can go for like stony material. I will show some projects later, and it goes to really warm and intimate spaces. And maybe a thing also nice to tell, because when we started the office, it was like just after the financial crisis, or when it hit, so 2009. Which bring us by accident in a position that as an architect we had to build. And we took over the role of the contractor, and together with carpenters we built the house. This is for example a house, it's near the Arnhem, it's in Duiven. We did an extension, and the moment the contractor built the foundation, he went bankrupt and was gone. So we had to do it ourselves within the budget that was still left. That was really nice. So we did together with a carpenter. He's the father of the client, by the way. Well, together with the carpenter, we really built up the whole house. So we really had to understand how do you build with the materials, with the wood, with the zinc. It's like a zinc roof on top. And we detailed everything, from the windows, sliding windows, to like even the skylights, which we found horrible. We dismantled it and made them new. So this was one of the first projects we did, I think, like more than 10 years ago, which I really like, because it was really deep diving into what can you do with wood, what can you do with zinc, and also in a way that it ages well and gets a very nice patina. I liked it about wood.
So when you think about if we go back to the idea of the kind of super Dutch, those big Dutch offices, starting with form, almost like the structure is sculpture, you're doing it the other way around. There are certain materials that you will use to create, for example, if we think about an interior space, we'll create that interior architecture.
I think it also starts indeed with, I know this project of the Super Dutch, and they, for example, as well, and it shows like a very nice wooden structure, but in the end, if you would knock on it, you would see that it is fake. It was like steel cladded with a fake plastic layer on it, and that it doesn't feel genuine material. So I think in the end, you should not start with cladding with materials, but start building with material. And a lot of buildings which we do, they're either like we have now recently done like a fully wood construction. Can also show it later. And then you really try to maximize that building material into the design.
Yeah. Do you want to show us that? Do you want to show us more?
I'll show some. This is a project in Vught. It's like an extension of a house. That's a bit Japanese-orientated design. What we did here is like a fully concrete platform we put in the garden. It really is a kind of garden element. On top of it is a fully wooden-based structure. So the window frames, the columns, they're all wood. And on top of it, it's a copper roof. But it's like you see construction, you see finishing. So there's no, and the building structure is also the finish, I meant to say. And it's really from outwards, inwards, it becomes more and more intimate, and we use wood and light for that. Interesting here, how material defines also like the architecture is, now for example, like this roof, it's a copper roof. And we wanted to have these fairly long horizontal lines, which really defines the architecture. But we couldn't find a product, so we started to design our own product here. So basically, we start folding copper. We tested it, and we did it like we wanted to really in the length. We want to have like one line, and in the beginning it gave some problems with water under it. So we start testing it, making prototypes also from these elements, and in the end we found a very nice way how to detail it, which really works. And I think this is the way our studio works. It's like finding material, playing with it, folding it, like kind of origami structure, testing it, and in the end it's something you don't see often at other places because it's really designed only for this project. This is what we this year completed. It's for justice for the government. It's the biggest wood construction building for the government so far. There will be bigger, but this is for far the biggest, which is really nice. So we fully made it in cross-laminated timber, glue laminate. But still, it's the government. They don't want to have like maintenance. So on the outside, they choose for materials which are long-lasting, low, I say, like maintenance materials. It's a very strong building in a way, high secure. But the inside, it should feel like the kind of living room, really cozy for people working under stress. Outside, maybe nice to see here because it's a bit like today. The Dutch weather is always pretty gray, so we choose for colors which were gray, but then in different tones, like the water gray. It's kind of palette of gray colors, which really can be really rich if you put the right colors and green around it. And we combine that. So like the whole building has like 3 atria, and here you see one where we even integrated the green in it. Here we choose for materials as a zinc and aluminum for the facade, and especially the zinc. You see it here at the bottom right. It's really nice. It's a cheap material, super durable, but it has this patina over time. It will color. It will, when you touch it, it will. You even would see your hands. But it's nice. It gives some personality to the building.
How do you future-proof your material choices?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the future-proofness is indeed knowing where to use the material. And also to, for example, I will go further. Maybe one. It's a houseboat we did. And now they said, okay, we're going to bring like the old interior, so you should not design the interior. You only can make like the frame. What we did here, we choose to build it in solid wood, solid oak, cross-laminated timber floors. So we use wood for construction. Also, in a way, it can age, it can damage because it's like this solid material. And also we use it here because it's the construction of the roof. People today they could add like the interior in it, and it will always has this quality. So that's here you see it also like in detail. Because it's a pure, honest material. It will age, and it will age with a story.
And so detailing is important to you?
Detailing is super important. And I think with detailing you can also bring more identity to and I'll go back to one other. Maybe this one. This is like a house we did in School in the dunes of the Netherlands. Also like for project we completed, I think 9 years ago. This is like a shed, like a barn, and outside really strong, and inside we choose for like more the maple solid wood material. But what we did here, maybe it's just like a combination of different volumes which you put into a barn, where we used durable materials outside and inside more the tactile materials really for emphasis of living. Here, this facade, we were looking for like a product. We couldn't find it, and we couldn't afford it even. But we did. Then we started designing the product ourselves. So here we have an aluminum cast facade panels and roof panels, which we indeed tested also. It's really solid. We could like play with it by turning it upwards, and we could find kind of system which we have like an endless, almost visible variation with only two systems which could use in different ways.
Do you have clients who really favor a particular material, where you just think, okay, that's too much? You know, there's we've got to try and educate them in.
Yeah, that often helps, but it also triggers to come with like new. I go to this one. I don't know. I think this is like a villa we did in Nijmegen. This material didn't come from the client, but the client, they want a really modernist villa, really simple in a way, in like color and toning. So what we did here, we found like ceramic as a material, really nice to do, and we also here developed like our own ceramic tile, which we could use both inside and outside, because also this is like, it's a pavilion in a very beautiful garden. And we, together with Hans Douglas, we made our own, our own mold to make this material also. Because this also, it originates from our clients being not so really specific about colors. They want to have like a very simple building. And then we did it with like one material that put a lot of like detail into that material.
What's your worst nightmare when you walk into a space? When you walk into, for example, a hospitality space like a bar or a restaurant or a hotel lobby? What are the things that really trigger you negatively?
Negatively, I think what triggers me is if there's been a lot of like energy and money went towards maybe expensive products and materials, really use
that look shit.
I mean, in a shitty way, but in a combination that doesn't make each other stronger.
Right.
So it's a play of materials and products which really can like rise to a very high standard. But if you just select materials, put them together, it's kind of like story for the money.
we've run out of time. So if you have a question, if you want to just say hello to this nice man, please do. Thanks very much.
Thanks.